All right, we are starting our last section, Chapter B, Section 5 on dividing rational numbers. Textbook, page 574, and for this section, you can use a calculator if it helps you. So when you're dividing rational numbers, you're going to use the same rules for signs as you used for integers. So you're going to have positive and negatives, and you got to figure out what the answer is going to have, if it's going to be positive or negative. So make sure you write these down. So if you have a negative divided by a negative, your answer is going to be positive. If you have a positive divided by a negative, your answer will be negative. Negative divided by a positive, your answer will be negative, and obviously a positive divided by a positive would be positive. So let's look at this example. So you have negative 8.4 divided by negative 3.6. So you need to think about this. It's a negative divided by a negative. Negative divided by a negative is going to give me a positive answer. So you can use a calculator, or you can just go through and do your long division. Remember, when you have a decimal on the outside, you need to move it to get rid of it. So it needs to be at the end of the number. If you move it on the outside, you have to move it on the inside as well. So this just turns out to be 36 going into 84.0. Bring your decimal up. And you're going to get 2.33, and you'll see that that 3 repeats. Remember, when we have a repeating decimal, we put a bar above the part that repeats. And this is a positive answer because we figured that out from our rules. Okay, so just a little hint as we are moving forward. Remember, when you're dividing fractions, you need to keep, change, flip. So you're actually going to flip the second fraction and multiply. So let's look at this one. Example, 6/5 divided by a negative 4/3. So you're going to change it, keep, change, flip, keep the 6/5, change it to multiplication, and then flip the 4/3 to negative 3/4. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. You're going to get a negative 18 over 20, which can be simplified if you divide by 2 on top and bottom. You're going to get negative 9/10. So remember the keep, change, flip rule. Complex fraction. These are hard. They look harder than they actually are. And I don't think there's any in your homework, but I did want you to have some information on it just going into 7th grade. So a complex fraction looks like this. So you got a lot going on. A fraction above a fraction, it's all a fraction, lots of fractions. So you have negative 10/9 divided by negative 1/6 plus 1. So you need to rewrite it because this looks confusing. So just think about what it's saying. So you have negative 10/9. It's being divided by, that's what the fraction bar is, divided by a negative 1/6 plus 1. So this all goes together. You got to do that first. So next step, I just changed them to have a common denominator because you're adding. So I have negative 1/6 plus 6/6. And that's going to give me 5/6 here, right? Negative 1, you're taking 1 away from 6, so you got 5/6. So we have negative 10/9 divided by 5/6. Now remember, this is a negative divided by a positive, so our answer will be negative. If you keep, change, flip here, so we have negative 10/9 times 6 over 5. You're going to get, if you multiply it across the top and multiply it across the bottom, you're going to get 60 over 45. And then you'd have to simplify, but I just did cross canceling here to get the negative 4/3. All right, so that is it for notes. Your assignment is either going to be textbook page 577, 10 through 20, just 10 problems, and I don't think any of them are the complex fractions. Or you can go to bigideasmath.com, chapter B-5 practice is there. You can use a calculator. Just remember your rules for the positives and negatives. So the only thing that's different in this section than a regular division section would be that you have positive and negative numbers. So you really need to make sure that your answer is correct, either being positive or negative.